Hey, I'm going to show you how I use the Boss RC3 looper pedal, what controls I use, how I've got it set up. The principle should apply to any looper pedal, they all basically do the same thing, but this one's specifically for the Boss RC3. This is the Boss RC3. I've got it all plugged in on my pedal board at the moment. A couple of things to be aware of with this one. There's two input slots, A and B, and there's two output slots. If you're going to be doing everything in mono, which I think most of you will be, your guitar cable needs to go into the mono slot A, and the output, which will go to your amp, is the output A, and the loop pedal is the last pedal in your chain. So I've got a few effects before it. I've got a tuner, an octave thingy, I've got my reverb pedal and a tape deck pedal. Then it goes into the loop, and then that orange cable there goes into my amp. So the idea is that your loop pedal is the last in chain and it goes into the amp. The way you start a loop is you use your foot to press this button here. When I press this, you'll see that this red light's going to come on, which tells me it's in record mode. So let's pretend I'm creating a loop. I want to start the loop now. The red light's on, I'll play the loop, and when I'm finished the loop, I press the button again, and you'll see that now the green light is on and the red light is on. That means it's still recording. So this is overdub mode, and it lets you create multiple layers, which is something I never do. If I press it now, it's now just playing the loop. So one button to start the loop, one button to stop the loop but carry on recording, and then a button again to stop the recording and just play. But that's not how I use it. So the way I want to use it is I want the pedal to start recording. When I click it again, stop recording and play the loop, because I'm only creating one layer of loops. The way you do that is unplug this cable, which has now turned the loop pedal off. So having a cable in here it means it's plugged, it's actually turned on. This is going to be tricky now while I hold the phone. You'd have to bear with me. I'm going to pause it here and tell you what I did. Okay, what I did is I had this unplugged. I held the tap tempo down. While I was holding it down, I plugged this cable back in to turn the pedal back on again, which is why I needed two hands. And you'll see that the display is now saying RD. That means record and overdub. So that's the default setting. What I want to do is I want to set it so that it records, and when I press the foot switch again, it starts playing it back. To do that, I can use either of these two memory buttons here. When I press it, it now says record and RP, which is record and play. So that means when I start the pedal, by clicking it, it will record. As soon as I click it again, it stops recording and it starts to play back. So to save that, I'd now just press the tap tempo. That's now saved it. So that setting's saved. Even if this looper pedal goes off and on again, it will remember its record play mode. So if you look at the lights now, well, it's still got the loop that I had in before. So I'm going to clear the loop. You do that by just holding this down. You see it says CL, that means clear. So there's nothing on this slot, memory slot 5, by the way. I'll talk about that later on. Memory slot 5. So let's pretend I'm creating a loop. Start the loop. Red light goes on to record. Finish the loop. Red light goes off and green light is on, which means it would be playing the loop straight back. So that's what I recommend you set your Boss RC3 up, so that tapping this once starts the loop, tapping it again stops the recording but keeps the loop playing. Now to stop it again, I just have to do a double tap, and now it's off. Let's look at some of the other buttons on here, all the other controls. You see here there's two volume knobs here. The outer one, which you can see I've got it set to about 12 o'clock, that's the volume that the loop pedal will play the loop back with. You don't want that too high because it might be too loud. It might be louder than your guitar that you're playing. So you need to experiment with that. The inner one, which I've got all the way to off, is for the rhythm or metronome or drum beats that this pedal's got. They're not very good, which is why I don't use them. So if you see, if I turn the rhythm on, which is this button here, that's the tap tempo button, so that's the beat that it's currently got. If I then start increasing this inner button, that's the metronome. So I've got that off. Now, although the volume is off, the tap tempo is still on because that rhythm light is on. Now, what you have to be aware of here is that if you record a loop, it's actually going to try and quantize the loop you record to that rhythm. Now, normally it doesn't do a great job of that, so you won't notice that. But if you record a loop that, for instance, is in 3/4 time, and this rhythm is on, which is in 4/4 time, it'll mess your loop up. So I always make sure that's off.